Why is it every time I try and record something? I'm literally recording this super early in the morning because we are all still super sick. That's why I look like this. But everybody, it's Katie and welcome back to today's video. For the longest time I could not figure out what I wanted today's video to be about, and then I remembered I kind of mentioned this a little bit in the last video. I thought, what the heck, let's go ahead and do a video on this. So today's video is going to be about how Mason broke his foot. This is my first story time video as well. Like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's my first story time video and I'm excited about it. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So on August 30th of 2019, Nathan and I decided that we would take Mason to the zoo. We thought that would be a really fun, like, day out trip. You know, I was a month post-op and I needed to get around and walk anyways. So we thought it would be a really good idea to take him to the zoo. Basically, you know, we were having fun. We were walking around, seeing all the animals. Funny enough, we got there so early in the morning. I don't know why we couldn't, like, do something until, like, noon. But we thought it would be a good idea to go early in the morning. There was nobody there. And half the animals, or more than half the animals, weren't even, you know, in their little habitats. So we really didn't get to see anything. So we kind of decided, okay, we'll just cut the trip short and we'll come back another time. And as we were walking out, there's like this reptile house. There's like a reptile house, and then I think there's like a fish house. But we went into the reptile house, and because it was hot that day, it was very, very hot, and my legs and my stomach were starting to hurt from the surgery. So Nathan said, we'll just go in here, it'll be cool in there, there's air conditioning and you can sit down for a little bit. And so I said, okay, sure, even though I really wanted to get out of there. I was so ready to leave. I did anyways because I thought, okay, it's a while back until the entrance / exit. Hi, Taco. Come here. Ooh. She just came busting through the door. Didn't you? You're a good girl. You're a good girl. Don't mess with my light. Don't mess with it. Go. Just go sit. Okay, she's just gonna sit literally right here at the light. So we went ahead and we went on in, and there was, so the way it was set up was there were like benches, and then there was this big huge thing in the middle, and then there were walls, and then you had to go behind the walls to see the reptiles. And from where the benches were, you couldn't see most of the reptiles from the bench because that wall was like, it was in the way. So I sat down and Nathan took Mason to go look at the reptiles. And I was sitting there for a minute, you know, trying to catch my breath and cool off for a minute, and I heard the scariest sound a mom or a parent in general should ever hear. And I heard just Mason's scream, blood-curdling scream. And at the moment, now I can look back and I'm more calm on it because he has done screams worse than that, literally, when he just doesn't get his way. But at that moment, my heart just dropped. I knew it was my kid. You know, like a parent knows. Automatically, I jumped up and I rushed to where the screaming was coming from. And lo and behold, it was Mason. and Nathan was holding him like this, and he was just screaming his head off. And I was freaking out, and I was like, what's wrong? What happened? What's wrong? What's happened? Is he okay? What happened? He said there's like a little ledge for these kids to stand on, so that they could like look over. He was looking over to see them all with some other kids, and his foot, he went back just like not like an inch, and his ankle had fallen off. And thank God Nathan was standing right there, and he was able to catch him before he completely fell over or fell on his side or whatever. But his ankle had just barely like slipped off. Jason was crying, and we were like, okay, you know what, let's just go, let's go home. And so we put him in his stroller. I couldn't think of the name of it for a second. His stroller. We tried to give him juice, we tried to give him animal crackers, and literally he didn't want anything, which wasn't like him, so we kind of knew something was up anyways. We got to the car, and he just did not want anything. He did not want cuddles. He didn't even want to be in his car seat. He was freaking out in the car, which really scared both of us. We didn't know what was going on. Like the whole way home he cried, and that just isn't like Mason, you know, like at least something will calm him down, whether it be Baby Shark, whether it be his juice, his milk, his, you know, animal crackers, whatever, something will calm him down. And so we kind of knew something wasn't right then, but we went ahead and we came back to the house, because we also thought maybe he was extremely tired, because we were out in the sun and it was hot, and he had been running around that zoo, you know. So we thought maybe he tired himself out and he was just extremely exhausted. So we thought, okay, maybe he's tired, he need to go home, let him take a nap. We got to the house and we put him in his crib, and he screamed and cried and screamed and cried and didn't even want to be in his crib. And at this point, we knew it wasn't, we knew he wasn't tired. So we did a little test, because for some reason I thought something was wrong with his foot. And Nathan stood at our door and I sat at our bed, which aren't that far away from each other. And he stood Mason up, and we were like, come to mommy, you know, walk over here. And automatically he fell down and he was crying, and he would not walk and he wouldn't crawl. So we're like, okay, something is definitely wrong. We took off his shoe, we took off his sock, and we noticed his ankle was pretty swollen. And I said, okay, this is not just a regular, you know, twisted ankle. We need to take him to the hospital. We got him in the car, and Nathan rushed him to the hospital. Nathan's mom works at the hospital, so she was able to call down there at a time to the emergency pediatric unit and get us back almost automatically. We got back there, and we got back to a room, and he was just all laid out on the stretcher, and the nurses were so sweet. So sweet. They were like, do you want any toys? You know, do you want, like, he couldn't have any juice and he couldn't have any snacks, but they brought this bucket of toys. They brought in this huge bucket of tractors and dinosaurs and trains, and we dumped it out right there on the bed, and it was over. You wouldn't have even thought that he did anything to his ankle. He acted like his normal self again. Once he saw those dinosaur toys, he was done. It was kind of cute. But the doctor came in, and she looked at his ankle, and she said, I believe it is fractured. And I did not want to hear those words at all. I had a feeling that it would be, but neither Nathan and I really wanted to actually hear those words. I mean, no parent wants to hear that your kid has their first broken bone. It's scary, because you know that they're in a lot of pain, and there's literally nothing that you can do to help that pain. They went ahead and they did an x-ray on him, and they did confirm that he had a hairline fracture on his ankle, and it wasn't too bad. And I am so happy that we got him these shoes. I don't even have them with me up here. I wish I did so I could show you guys. But I think I have a picture of him wearing them, and if I do, I'll put it in here. But basically they were little high tops. They were from Old Navy. And thank God he was wearing those shoes that day. We were going to put him in his flip-flops because it was so hot. And if we would have had him in those flip-flops, his ankle would have been broken even more. And those high tops literally saved his ankle. And it was only just the ittiest tiny little fracture. So shout out to Old Navy for making these shoes. I know that Old Navy will probably never see this, but those shoes literally saved his ankle from being worse than it was. So the doctor came in and was like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put on a little temporary cast for right now. We're gonna wrap it up, and he's gonna have to come back here and get an actual cast. Another doctor came in, the orthopedic doctor, and he was really sweet as well, him and his partner. And you know, they told us what we needed to do, how we needed to handle it, you know, and what kind of medicine to give him to help with the pain, because he would be pretty sore and pretty much in pain for a little while. And they put on the sock, and then they put on the other stuff and wrapped it all up. They gave him some stickers, and finally after the x-ray we were able to give him some juice and some snacks, and he was all good. He was like his normal self all over again, only with this makeshift cast on his foot. A couple weeks later we went back and we got his official cast, and that was a whole ordeal in itself. It just the time that it took to make it, he was not happy at all. He was on my lap and he was just screaming. He did not want to be contained. He even, when we went into that office to get his official cast and we'd taken off the other one, he was already kind of like cruising the boulevard, acting like, oh, I don't need it, you know, I'm fine. But they did notice. They took another x-ray while we were there, and it still was there. So we wanted to be, you know, more safe than sorry. Everything seemed to go well for a while. He was doing really good. After a while, he finally learned how to walk on it, which was super funny because there are hardwood floors downstairs, and so you hear clank, 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 clank every single time he tried and walk. That's why now, then I was super scared. And I felt so terrible, but now I look back on it and I'm like, that kid, like, I know that there's going to be a lot more broken bones. That's just boys, you know, that's kids in general. So I think now that I've got that first broken bone out of the way, it's not as scary. So, but I have some pictures of when we were in the hospital and when he had his cast, and I'll go ahead and I'll add them in here at the end of the video so you guys can see. He was so, that first picture of him laying on the hospital bed, you can already tell he just doesn't care about his foot. All he cares about is this toy that he had. He's doing so much better now, and he is so rambunctious. He just runs around all the time. I'm surprised that he doesn't hurt himself more because of how fast he runs. He literally just runs and just doesn't care what's in his way. So that was the story time of how Mason broke his very first bone. If you guys have ever broken a bone before, I never have. I've never, surprisingly, ever broken a bone. I've twisted my ankle a ton of times and that hurts so bad, but I have never broken a bone, so I have no clue how bad that hurts. If you guys have ever broken a bone before, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.